I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Lincolnville Budget Committee. And we will start by hearing the minutes of the February 5th meeting.
Well, do we normally read them out or just? Has everyone reviewed, had a chance to review them or have any questions?
Did everybody get the minutes and was able to read them?
Yes.
I would entertain a motion to accept them.
I motion to accept the minutes as written.
I'll second.
Any discussion? That is approved.
You gotta ask us to approve it. We have to vote, right?
All right.
I got you.
All approving the minutes as emailed.
I'm abstaining, I wasn't here.
I'm abstaining because I didn't read them, so sorry.
Well, it's up for two then. It still passes. All right. Can I move on? All right, good. We are going to move on to the town administrator. Okay, select board budget recommendation.
Thank you. Since we all gathered together back in February to hear the budget requests, various departments, committee chairs, agencies out there. The select board have had several meetings to review the budget, make changes as they thought necessary and appropriate, and had a couple of opportunities for the public to chime in on it, as well as their meetings, which I don't believe they had any, but that's neither here nor there. The real public chance to vote will be coming up in June. So before we get started, I want to make sure that everybody has a new copy of the budget, and in the lower left-hand corner it says Select Board recommended March 10, 2025. Always good that we start off on the same page. To give you a quick overview, the budget is now recommended by the Select Board. Is an increase of 2.39% over what was approved by the voters last June. So there obviously have been some changes since we referred it all at the opportunity to have it all back in February. I don't know what your preference is, if you want me to hit what the items we changed, talk about any and all. I know that not everybody was able to attend every meeting that occurred previously, but I can talk to Blue Street, and you can be here till tomorrow, or I can cut that down to any length. Well,
I think if it hasn't changed, if you could say there's no change and move on to the next one that does, that might be sufficient unless anybody else has any different opinions.
and I'd certainly be glad to, if you have other questions that have come up since you've heard the presentations, as we go through this, if you have some questions, Kayla and I will do the best to answer those for you, or at least get the answer for you for your next meeting. Just procedurally, you'll, as well, everybody might as well flip to page 4, and I'll tell you what's different in this. You can now see in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8 column over from the left, where it says Select Board recommend or recommend, Select Board recommendation. So that column has been completed. All the pages you'll see. And then after a meeting in mid to late April, you folks will be making your recommendations, and we'll plug in budget committee recommendations. Two columns over whatever I just said. So with that, let's just jump right into the administration and finance, because that's the most important, because that's where Kayla and I are housed. Oh, I can see the rough crowd right off the bat. The select board has recommended a change in the wages, the FICA Medicare, the paid family medical leave, and retirement, the first 4 items of retirement. I take that back. Take away retirement. The first 3, because they adjusted the wages. they're listed down below. I think the only change in the wages from what you had previously is they have changed the town administrator's wage or proposed wage for FY 26. That's it for administration and finance. And one of the things I wanted to make sure I pointed out once again, for the benefit of those that didn't hear it, but presentations or remember it, this upcoming fiscal year has an oddity with the 53rd pay week for us. So that wages says 4.6 is really roughly 2% less than that if you had 52 weeks. That normal year. Next year's not normal.
I'm hung up on something here, so.
Fire away.
Probably just not seeing what's right in front of my face. On page 4.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm looking at the column that says FY 2026 request,
Yes,
and then a percent change.
yes,
And then the next column is like around 1% more,
yep,
but the next column says 4.6% more, or 4.6% versus,
4.6%. The select board is recommending for that first line of wages, the select board is recommending 4.6% above what was approved in the FY 25 budget.
approved, okay. All right,
Not over what was, no change, I mean, there is a change from what was requested, but it's not a percent change from that change, it's a percent change from
a different basis than I was looking at.
the budget.
Okay,
Okay.
good, yep.
Does everybody understand John's question and my answer? Okay.
Good question.
I'm gonna sit here and wait for the action.
Assuming they paid family medical leave with the new tax that everybody is up to.
Yeah, the 0.5%, and this past, or in the current fiscal year, we only had half of the fiscal year that this applied to, and that's why it's 109%, because 100% would have been if the wages had stayed the same, the 9.4, because actually, and full year. And the increase.
Liens and discharges, we didn't spend what we had allocated in 2025.
Yep.
Now there's an increase, is there an expected increase, and is that why that?
There is, Waldo County has increased what it costs us to record documents at the registry of deeds. And we don't know how many people won't have paid their taxes. So we budgeted for the increase based on some number. I will say that we do recoup those ultimately. If you don't pay your taxes and we file a lien, the cost of filing that gets added to your bill by statute. And when the taxes are paid, the lien costs are, so we have to send certified mailers to notify people what they're up against. And the cost for filing the lien is included in the cost of discharging that, so we recoup that, but maybe 3 years down the road, 2.5.
And the same question for the computer support, obviously, we spend very little. So
Yeah.
Asking for a lot more, so.
Yeah, we had the unfortunate circumstances past year of our computer support individual passing. So we were without computers, outside computer support for a fair amount of time. We have a new entity on board who are recommending certain things that we didn't have before and certain ways of doing things, and be quite honest, cost more. So.
Makes sense.
Protection animal control, page 6. The select board is recommending the same amount of. I can answer any questions regarding control, well, that I can.
So the question I have on this is, a family leave again, we have to pay that on the animal control officer.
We pay that on all employees.
State of
I
Maine.
didn't know if they were actually an employee or it was a contract.
No, that's an employee. Okay. We do have some contractors that are. And look like employees that we don't pay that on, but that we budgeted for.
So even when it's called a stipend. To the
Yeah.
employees.
In the eyes of the state of Maine, if you pay that person that, you're gonna. Pay her half percent.
Yep.
Other questions regarding animal control? Okay, I'll turn the page over to fire department. On the fire department, the select board is recommending what was requested by the fire chief, with one exception. Well, actually, it was requested by the chief, but not included in this budget. The equipment maintenance line, the chief asked for an additional $1,700. For FCBA, something like the self-contained breathing apparatus tanks, or
Yeah,
do you remember exactly the details of that?
That was like testing, wasn't it?
It was a replacement of operators and stuff. So. Select board added that.
Emergency reporting that went up a significant amount, is that how cost that we really don't have control over?
yeah, it was, it's a third party that they contract with and they were going to open.
Few people looking at today's, anyone else have some questions about the fire department? Then I'm on page 9, protection other, there are a couple of substantial changes on this page, what was requested. The first is legal services. Board reduced the request from $30,000 to $25,000. Again, that's kind of an unknown. We pay on an hourly basis, depending on what comes in or doesn't come in through the door. And the other major change on this page, is ambulance service. We still haven't finalized an agreement with our ambulance service provider, but we're looking at instituting some changes that will reduce our previously anticipated cost, but will still be more than last year. That request initially was $286,613. That's been reduced to $198,000. Still a work in progress. If we make any more progress, we'll change the number.
Is that the largest single change to the requested budget?
Yes, but I'm not. I think it may be one other big change. That's one of the larger ones, but it's not the largest.
Yeah.
For sure.
Just for the benefit of everybody out there in Cyberland, anything that we allocate that isn't spent, does that go into the general fund for this year?
Anything with few exceptions, that isn't spent at the end of the year rolls into the unassigned fund balance. In the last page of this, that we take money from unassigned fund balance to lower the property tax commitment. Exception are fire department, anything not spent in the fire department goes into the fire truck fund. And anything not spent in harbor goes into harbor savings. Anything else that I'm forgetting? think those are the two.
The cemetery stuff, we don't vote to.
Right,
carry forward.
There are a number of items that will vote to the last, the voters consider carrying forward next year, dog feeds, cemetery. Conservation Commission had money they raised years ago. So hard to take fundraise money and put it into that unassigned fund balance.
Or capital, like project that we don't.
Right.
complete.
Yeah, that's the other thing, if we had a major any capital project that might be started but not completed at the end of the fiscal year, the town charter just automatically. Any questions regarding protection other? If not, I'm turning the page to town office building. The select board is recommending 37,153. Well,
So a question again on the page, family medical leave, I know it's not that much, but are we double dipping where we've already covered that for employees who want to see?
No, because we have two lines up from that. You can see part-time wages for our part-time custodian. So that covers the expense for that part-time. Other. We're on the page 11, and we talk about contingency. Select board did not make any changes from what was requested of 10,000. I know what contingency is, and what we use it for here. Okay. Then page 12, code enforcement. Select board is recommending what was requested for code enforcement, $61,000.
The same thing.
Page 13, assessing. Select board is recommending 42,100, which is what was requested. Assessing and the assessor's agent is actually a contractor that works for us, hence the reason there's no FICA or Family Medical Leave Act, because they have to pay that out of their money that we contract.
So what is the difference between our assessor agent's contract and the assessment that we're doing now, that we previously paid?
Okay. The town is in the process of conducting the townwide evaluation, so we've contracted with RKD Appraisal to do that for us. So they are visiting properties in town, coming up with new schedules for land values, building values, and later this year. Each property owner will be receiving a letter that says we conducted a revaluation, we anticipate we valued your property at whatever dollar figure they put at it. If you wish to discuss that with us, call this number, which will be the town office number, schedule an appointment, and you'll have a chance to meet one-on-one with the appraisal company for the assessors that are doing that work. The assessor's agent takes the work from the revaluation, all the new numbers that are assigned by the contract that we have separately for revaluation, and does the property tax commitment. So it does all the math to assign how much taxes each individual property will pay. They also do the paperwork that's required for the state, the municipal valuation return, the ratio declaration, track the new sales so that things sold after April 1st. April 1st is the magic day that every property is supposed to be taxed at the value as of April 1st. Things sell on April 2nd. The reval company is looking solely at the April 1st, 2025 date. And then the assessor's agent looks at what occurs after. Make sure the paperwork's right and does the commitment documents for the Board of Assessors to approve. And to me as tax collector to go send bills. But I have a staff do that, but I get all credit. And then the assessor's agent will carry that documentation forward as we move forward into the year with sales, or if somebody does a subdivision, they do the splits. And then update tax maps, that type of work. That help?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the company just says this is what it's worth and this person does all the hard stuff.
Well, the company has to, yes, the company has to defend their work. But there comes, once they completed their contract, turn that data over to us. It's ours.
Now, is this done every year or just when we reassess?
The assessor's agent,
Yeah,
that's an annual expense because we do tax commitments every year. People sell their properties every year, transfer ownership, and the paperwork required of us required every year.
But they don't come to the houses every.
No,
That's like,
no, the evaluation,
it's.
the only time the assessor agent goes to a property, if you obtain a building permit, the code officer provides the assessor's agent with a list of building permits. If there's a subdivision split, they may go by to, actually see where it is and what it's all about. But no, the assessor's agent certainly does not go to every property. Yeah. Unless we ask them to. Sometimes people actually build things without permits and we find those.
Yeah.
I think I have a neighbor that does.
shame on them.
Yeah. Shame on
On
us.
Slab City, yeah.
We're looking for. Other questions regarding this? Page 14, Public Works, Highways and Bridges, a couple of changes in here. Select Board recommended lowering the amount for trash removal at the parks. And struck a couple of things that we were looking to do to maintenance to one of the smaller buildings over here in the St. Paul building. Otherwise than that.
The paving program that went down, I'm assuming because we're paving or scheduled to pave less.
Yes, we have a resurfacing program for a town road, so we project out for years to come where we're gonna be and what we're gonna do, and we check that, obviously, we check that annually to see if it needs any updating. And this, in the current year's budget, we'll be resurfacing Green Acre Road, which is one of our longer roads here in town. And next year's budget talks about what? Moody Mountain Road, portion of Moody Mountain Road. Here. Oh yeah, paved portion of Townhouse Road, and then some patching with some culverts. So the quantity needed for the upcoming year is slightly less than the quantity needed this year. And we don't price between quantity and price. But we try on that resurfacing program to remain relatively constant without wild fluctuations. If you can imagine, if we had a year that we didn't do any resurfacing, the next year, so 1 year would be down dramatic, and the next year would be off the charts because we try to make up. But we can't match it perfect. Any questions? Page 15, you're not gonna do a thing about regardless of what you recommend, but we're committed to doing that. We get the bill from Midco Solid Waste Corporation, which we're a member. Okay. But I'll try to answer questions about those all the ways if we have them.
Yeah, just curious, the transfer station, like, what's their total budget?
Oh.
Including all the yellow bags we buy.
It's bigger than the town of Lincoln's municipal budget.
Yeah, okay.
And the bulk of the costs there are paid by the user charges. That go, you know, the yellow bag or the paper ton, or if you're dumping out on the landfill, charged by weight. Back when I first came to town, the theory was that this charge was basically paying for past sins of the town, so to speak, or the towns, not just Lincolnville. Law costs associated with the quarry that we dump waste into, that, you know, we don't have much choice. We're gonna be paying the fees and associated with that until we cap it, which is coming.
Yeah.
Although when I came here 21 years ago, they told me the landfill had about 6 or 7 years of life left, and I think it still has about 6 or 7 years of life left. It's still settling, decomposing.
Yeah, okay.
Which landfill are we referring to? The one in Camden, the one in Belfast, or isn't there one in Northport too?
The one in Rockport, actually, on the Camden Rockport line.
Yeah.
Oh.
Next to the
The
wall.
one in Knox?
Yeah, the one that we're a member of, yes.
Okay.
Other questions about transfer station? Okay, turning the right page to Public Works Harbor. The select board recommended one change in that, and that's to the annual pier inspection. They lowered the request from $2,500 to
Are we not inspecting up here? Is that?
we haven't spent the $2,500, and they thought that then we're not spending it, not gonna give it to you. And so we're gonna spend it next year, so make sure we get it. We're gonna do what's necessary for inspection within the budget. Pages turning, there be some others. I'll turn the page and somebody along the back. I'm on page 17, Public Works Other. Select board recommended what was requested.
And when it references the athletic field, that's just what's at the school. There isn't any other. Okay.
Yeah, the athletic fields.
That includes the courts, the tennis courts and all that.
Tennis courts are, what they're doing. Yeah, we've done,
I mean, not common to have a ton of maintenance.
no, we resurfaced those go up here. And the school puts out the 10 nets and brings it in. Don't do it. A little bit. I'll watch it. Question regarding Public Works, other.
At the school workshop, did we talk about the maintenance of the fields? If not, we'll be asking about that when we have our school budget meeting. Okay.
Turn the page to page 18, boards and committees, and then I'll move for when this is probably the biggest change. The comprehensive plan review committee. We had budgeted $100,000 for the request. Select board has changed that to $6,000. We've done everything but signed a contract with a consultant to assist the comprehensive plan committee with their work. We don't need nearly as much money as we thought.
I like that.
Great.
Wow,
do.
it's a big difference.
Yeah, it's easy to go down. But I'm happy to answer our question regarding the other items on that or about the comprehensive plan. Okay, it's very happy with that. Okay, good. Municipal report on page 19. Couple of changes here, from what was requested. Cemeteries, the select board reduced the request for cemeteries from 9,600 down to 8,000. 8,000 matches what was appropriated this year, and with the monies that were appropriated but not expended, select board thought 8,000 is sufficient. And then the Lincolnville Community Library, select board recommending 1,500 versus the 3,000 that was requested. They thought keeping that in line with what they donated, or what the town donates to the Historical Society for Concord might be for the town's interest, in the town's interest. Otherwise, than that, I believe everything is what was recommended or requested.
Except for the ballot clerks, that did go down a little bit.
The request went down from what was appropriated here. But
No change there.
The president was.
Right.
it was a big job. One, three,
Well, 23 provider agencies.
all right, well, I'm gonna talk about provider agencies. The select board, or the budget committee gets the first, on page 23. There. As you know, the budget committee takes the first crack at recommendations regarding provider agencies, and the select board readily agreed with what you recommended. Capital improvement program, which is page 24, has a couple of changes from what was previously requested. The first is the select board is recommending $5,000 more than what was requested for the fire truck fund. What we believe we're falling behind in our efforts to have monies in the fire truck fund for the fire truck. Thought it appropriate to ask a little bit more this year.
Is anybody keeping track of what a fire truck costs versus what we're setting aside for fire trucks to see if we're having a shortfall or even a surplus?
The select board had that conversation with the fire chief, and I think they're picked themselves up off the floor when they told them next truck probably gonna be $1 million. That's why we added out.
Super planes, I mean, those look pretty cool.
And we were wondering if we were on schedule per se. We are fortunate that we do receive some donations towards that, and anything in the fire, as we talked earlier, anything in the fire department account that's not expended one year doesn't go down the sign fund balance, goes into the truck fund. So it's not, this is not all we're putting in there in the course of the year. We're not taking a lot left over in the fire department fund, but it's always, fortunately, something.
The next question, obviously, when we replace a fire truck, is it really at its end of life? Is there any way to extend it, or are we just, this is our schedule, and we're sticking to it?
Yes, no, yes. We have 4 primary firefighting vehicles. We maintain those and hold ownership of those roughly 30 years before we replace them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 30 years.
So we're doing one every 7.5 years.
Gotcha.
And so
Yes, I didn't realize how long we are.
Probably not end of life per se, but age out.
Right,
The other thing we've experienced is when we hung on to them a little bit longer. Like the last truck we bought was delayed in production or took longer to obtain than we'd all hoped for. Fire trucks over 30 years old. You can imagine the maintenance costs aren't the same as the new one.
okay, that fully answers that question. I didn't realize we got them so long.
Yeah. And I don't think that's uncommon in, well, depending on the municipality and, you know, the truck's usage, but. I drive my cars into the ground and I don't have a 30. Last fire truck?
Yeah.
Yeah, any idea, again, just curious, how many miles, the truck travels in 30 years?
Not many.
Just around here, yeah, shouldn't be
Yeah,
many, not
you
used
know,
much.
parade in Camden for Christmas by the Sea or mutual aid to other towns. They're more likely to
Yeah, it's good.
wear out than, rust out than wear out.
Hmm,
Or replacement parts become obsolete and unobtainable. I happened to moderate the Cushing town meeting yesterday, last night. Cushing just bought a new fire truck, they're replacing one that's 23 years old and they can't find replacement parts.
weeks.
And the manufacturer of that truck is no longer in business.
Okay.
So, you know.
Yeah.
That's what happened. I mean, just. It's not for lack of trying.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that the firefighters are a pretty frugal bunch, and if they thought they could look at it, you know. A little bit longer out of it, they would.
Yeah,
Experience has shown that 30 years is pretty good life cycle.
Yeah.
The other change in this, the select board, struck the new float that was budgeted for in the harbor improvements on the budget. And the cost associated with that, they are still looking to replace the handrail. Here. Behind the float, the state of Maine is scheduled to do some changes to the ferry terminal of the ferry slip itself. But they just got word that the bids for the, and as part of that change, they're going to construct some additional wave screen or wave protection for the ferry bend, which is going to give us a little better, bigger, safer harbor that we could extend the float out. The bids for the ferry came in higher than they anticipated, and that project, they chose not to award that project. So the boat itself is now on hold. They're trying to figure out what they're gonna do. Which they haven't told us yet, but makes you wonder, why would they build a longer pen for the new boat they're not buying? So that wave screen on the ferry terminal project may not come to fruition. We may not have been safe harbor, so. Holding up.
I have a question in regards to the building repair for the beach fire station.
Yep.
New windows, trim and siding for 30,000.
Yep.
My understanding is that fire station, we are planning on selling that property at some point.
Nobody's made a determination what we're going to do with that property when we're done having it be a fire station.
Okay,
We
so-
do have, the town has acquired a piece of land on the beach road. For a future replacement station, the beach station. And we don't know when or if that's coming down the pipe,
okay.
but.
But the beach fire station,
Yep,
didn't we talk about the trucks not fitting in that fire station?
we have one truck there. Certainly if we go, I believe that truck, when they purchased it. Was designed to make sure it would fit in that station
Mhm.
because of the roof, the height of the truck, not the bed. Although They do park it off to one side so they can make the turn out easier. We probably will not buy a new truck to go into that station.
And do we have any forecasted time period of when the new station will be being built?
No.
It just seems like potentially if we're in a position to be building a new fire station, does it make sense to do $30,000 worth of repairs on the current fire station if in 3 to 5 years, we're going to be buying a brand new one? Slap some paint on it and call it good.
So just to ask a simple question, when is that fire truck scheduled to be replaced?
That one's good. That's not the next one, so that's at least,
Okay.
10 years out.
So as of right now,
Again,
that fire station does have a few years of use prior to building a new fire.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even if we started the planning process for a new fire station today, we'd be lucky to be, which we're not budgeting for, by the way. We'd be lucky to be out to bid next year for construction, for the year building the thing. Earliest is 2.5 years out.
I get the concern, and I know where she's going with it, is
Yep.
that we're sinking $30,000 into a building that we eventually will be selling or giving up, and
We're using for another purpose.
we're using for another purpose, which I get it.
I understand, but we have infrastructure that the town owns. We put a new roof on that building because it needed it. And in our opinion, it needs some tender love and care.
That's the one that got flooded, right?
Yes, fortunately, it didn't come up above the concrete, but it certainly got flooded.
Is the 30,000 with that, how long is that gonna extend the life of, will that carry us out to when we may not need that building for this purpose anymore?
I would hope so. I mean, I don't know, the windows in that they were looking to replace. I don't know how old they are, but I can guarantee you we haven't replaced them in 21 years, I bet. And I don't even know, well, I think.
No, I haven't here.
I think the thought was, and we're doing this with all the buildings and with the ones that we just. We need to maintain it while we use it. Roofing, siding. Yes, the horizon looks like we're gonna build a new fire house, expand that fire house. Feel that then maybe in the case of maybe opportunities down the road for us with that building, we have to. And I'd like to go back, just so everybody knows, the solid waste budget 2.98.
Better.
Well, we're still beating the dead horse. I'm assuming that coat of paint on that building wouldn't suffice then.
No, because the siding is there.
I mean, you suffice to what level?
Yeah.
I mean, you can, the building has cedar shingles on the side of it and,
Never mind.
Yeah.
painted wood trim. Of various condition of decay, I guess, is the best way to put it. You can put a coat of paint on it and,
You had me at cedar shingle.
So is the fire chief, he's probably satisfied with the 4 trucks. We couldn't get by with 3, or he doesn't saying we need 5, or that's just been a good fit historically, I guess.
I believe that the fire department believes that they are adequately equipped for vehicles. Not over-equipped and not under. We don't have, the vehicles, they all have their own purpose, I guess. Certainly the engines are compatible with one another. The beach up here in the center. And then the tank truck, I mean, water's key. We don't have, city water to hook up to a hydrant. So tank truck is absolutely essential
Mhm,
to have water,
mhm.
car water. So, I'm sure they take another truck if you're offering.
I was thinking the other way around.
I'll make sure I don't sit next to you at town meeting, John.
Right.
Public safety is not something you want to give.
Yeah,
Especially when you have what you have.
yeah.
We are very fortunate in the town to have what we have for firefighting equipment and the people to manage,
Mhm,
especially in today's world. And I, like David, would not want, I would not want to reduce any type of equipment we got for public safety.
mhm.
I don't feel we have enough, but we have to do it right
Mhm.
economically and when the town needs it and when we can afford it. I would want to take it.
Yeah, I mean, when there's a fire, it's like, you better have everything right away.
Or like a few months ago, where we had 2 fires in the same night, or the same day. You know, one down near the beach and then another one.
Yeah.
And they have a staff of about 30 now.
We're also very fortunate that within our region, there are a number of other communities that assist us when we need it, as we do when they need it.
Mhm.
And so, whether or not a 5th truck here would benefit the system. Probably not, because we have that mutual aid partner or partners.
Mhm.
We might as well let Northport and Camden and whoever else buy those trucks and then share them with us when we need them, because we bought trucks that we share with them when they need them.
Yeah. Just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, well, that's a legitimate question. Other questions regarding capital improvement? Okay, front page for 25 debt service, I didn't have to do much with that.
Yeah.
You can recommend whatever you want, but the town agreed years ago to make that contribution to the sewer district, and we're gonna.
How many years are we in for that?
I think this is the 4th year, it says right in that budget comment.
4th of 10.
The 4th of 10.
Yeah.
A lot of ways to go. If you'd like, you could recommend more, we can buy ourselves down on that, but. You would say $19,000
Plenty.
in the future is gonna be worth a whole lot less than $19,000 today.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I'm not an economics major, but. I did take economics.
Pay attention.
I did. We could probably calculate the present work for the future work.
I had my calculator with me.
You. You could calculate it. So that turns us to the back page, which is 26. You can see on the gross municipal budget total. A little bit down the line, on the select board change 2.39%. They did increase a couple of the anticipated revenues. Up the vehicle excise tax by $25,000 to $625,000. Up municipal revenue sharing somewhat to $350,000. With that, I have run out of pages in my budget, except for the old version.
I have a question.
Yes, fire away.
Vehicle excise, so that's projected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so just a guess. Yeah,
Well, it's an educated guess, but yes, it's a guess.
okay.
So my question is on the municipal budget total, did we really recommend $9,620 versus the 3 million?
Well, thus far.
Oh, okay.
What he's recommended is
I wanna save some money, but I didn't think I would.
No, that's fine. The only thing the budget committee has recommended is the provide rate.
So that's as of now.
And that's as of March 10th, 2025. And come latter part of April, when you make your recommendations, we'll fill that column in and it may be 9,000. Hope not.
Wishful thinking. Does anybody have any questions over anything that we went over tonight? We have it full attention, but you can't leave until we bring it down.
And just procedurally, so you all know, you know your schedule coming up with the school committee budget, review of that. And then in April, I don't know the day, but we'll send you a reminder. Kaylin knows it off the cuff.
It's the
You'll have,
next meeting.
The next meeting we have scheduled as April 8th
Right,
is where the school board will let you know their recommendations.
and then you'll have a public hearing 2 weeks after that, where both the school budget and the municipal budget are presented to the public. We can never drag anybody out. You'll also at that meeting get a draft copy of the town meeting warrant articles that will have the select board's recommendation filled in and a blank next to yours. Because then there's a subsequent meeting the next week, right?
No, they actually do their hearing and their recommendations in the same meeting, but we have been.
So at that point, you will be making your recommendations regarding the 18 articles or whatever we have appropriating money. The next column and work beyond town meeting will be concluded for the year.
Come to town meeting.
Yeah, so we, households can expect the net to be
No.
raised, no, 9%.
No,
I misunderstood it then.
they can expect the municipal budget in the past, this current fiscal year made up roughly 13% of
yeah,
your
okay.
total property tax bill.
Yep,
You can expect the 13% to go up 9%. So to 14%,
yeah,
but I'm gonna venture a guess the school budget's going up and the county budget went up, so that 14% may be back down to 13.
So I know last year we got multiple school budgets from revisions. Can we expect the same thing this year? It's very hard for us to go over a school budget and then the next meeting it's changed again.
I am going to pull something that drives Kayla crazy and tell you I don't do schools.
I remember
My
that from last year.
understanding is that the school board, the school committee, People Central School Committee, will be making their recommendation, their hopefully final recommendations at their meeting of April 7th, so that when you meet with them on April 8th, thank you, you will have their budget that hopefully won't be subject to revision again, but you never know, and maybe the legislature decides they've got more money and they want to go to the schools, and they come down with more assistance to.
And so what we scheduled that meeting on April 8th. So if you have more questions after that meeting, we have the next week, we can add in a meeting before the next week where we have your public hearing and where you make your recommendations. So we tried to give you that a couple weeks in case you needed more information.
Perfect.
Do we have a meeting next Wednesday? The 26th?
Not that I'm aware of.
We've got board meeting 5 to 7 on my calendar and I didn't put what board, so I'm supposed to be somewhere.
Let's see. Wednesday.
Yeah.
When?
Maybe, who knows?
I'll let you know if anything changes, but I'm pretty, I thought the next meeting was April 8th, so that's next one I'm looking to.
And by all means, if now that you've got a new updated draft budget with the select board recommendation. If you come up with questions, no, feel free to reach out. We don't want you in the dark or anybody else. And we recognize that, $3 million is a lot of money. And it's all our money, so let's ask the question and get it out on the table. Give the answer.
Any further questions?
Are there more minutes from meetings? Because I was at the last meeting and we talked with the ladies from the county.
Oh, there is, do you, the minutes from last meeting,
Yeah,
do you have those?
I don't, I saw the,
Could you get them to me before next meeting?
yes,
And then we'll have the ones from tonight. Perfect, yeah.
Anything else?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Is there any discussion? All in favor? We stand adjourned.